Yo, what's going on? Yeah, today I kind of felt like talking about well, something that's not new. Okay, we've heard this whole thing a million and a half times before, within like the last 5, 10 years. Like a whole topic that's kind of been talked about so much is that about how games have kind of gone downhill, or how games were better back in my day. And I thought, you know what, I kind of want to throw like my 2 cents into this whole thing, whole argument, and yeah, like to be honest, like, I can probably sum up this whole video by by one sentence, that being multiplayer games have got worse, but single player games are just as good or arguably better. And like there's I don't know, like you go back and you go back throughout the whole history of gaming, like with games there's always been some really terrible single player games. There has been some really bad games, and but again, 9 times out of 10 that they are pretty solid. They are either just straight up fun, or just or just or great, or and then you do get some that's like that are genuinely bad. Right to hell, Retribution. Well, like, yeah, I think I want first thing is like when you talk about multiplayer games, is that one thing that really brings any multiplayer game down is, well, the monetization of it. And because of the money aspect of multiplayer games, that really drags it down. So like, yeah, so like as you see the gameplay here, the from Dead by Daylight, the monetization of this game is quite egregious. It can be quite bad in this game, because you jump in, you've got, I can't remember exactly how many characters you get. It's because you have like a load of characters, right? You have quite a few in the in this game. You have like about 30, about 30 like survivors and 30 killers, give or take. I can't remember the exact amount, but I think you start out with like 5 survivors and 5 killers, and honestly, the grind to get them all is quite long. It takes quite a long time to get all the characters, like the free characters, like the ones that are not licensed, because obviously you have to pay for the licensed ones. Like, and it's like, and because it's so long, it's kind of like, oh, some people are going to be like, oh fuck it, I'm going to spend some money, I'm going to pay for it. And I think like that's sort of where like multiplayer games go downhill, because they have the option to pay for things, because you end up paying for stuff. That's where it gets a bit like, I don't know. I just feel like that's where it starts going downhill, and you end up games end up suffering because of it, and I don't think that's a good thing. I get it. I fully understand. Like I fully understand that like games need to make the money back. They need, like, games are getting more and more expensive to make, and more expensive to, well, maintain. That they need to make like they need to make money somewhere, and like, I completely understand that. But sometimes it's so egregious. It's so much. I'm looking at you, EA. EA probably is one of the worst for it, and again, the multiplayer games suffer because of it. Like, again, if you look at Call of Duty, like when you talk about COD, you look back, what COD, when COD was great or was good. You go back, you look at like the Black Ops series, like the original Black Ops games. Like, you look back on the Modern Warfare, the original Modern Warfare series, and like everyone was saying, yeah, those games were great. Those, like, so many people have fond memories of those games, and it's like, and there's like, obviously there's some level of monetization there with like the map packs, but it wasn't exactly something that, it wasn't like you had to buy like cosmetics. Yeah, there was like all the characters were placed behind a paywall, or it wasn't like all the characters were all the gun skins were behind a paywall or whatever. And that's where it starts to become a bit like, oh, it gets like really irritating. And it's like, I want to have all these characters, but I don't have the money to pay for them all. And that's where they suffer because of it. And then like you get like every company wants to kind of go into that space of like the live service, the live service sort of thing, and then where the companies try going into live service and they just don't know how to do it. They can't seem to do it. Because the amount of times I've seen it where like companies like Avengers tries to become live service, and it ends up failing because they wanted to make that game live service and they wanted to make more money out of it, and the game ended up suffering because of that. The gameplay was terrible. The game as a whole was terrible because you can pin that down on the live service part of it. And you can, and that's why I think multiplayer has kind of gone downhill, because of the whole money side of it. But but yeah, then when you look at single player stuff, a lot of it's still pretty good for the most part. For the most part, a lot of it is pretty good. Most of it is still decent and great to this day. Because if you look at this year alone, from what's come out, from what's been released this year, you have, I think it's, these are the games I played personally. It'll be the Resident Evil 4 remake. Again, that's a great remake. It has some flaws, don't get me wrong, but it's a great remake. You have the Dead Space remake. Again, really good remake. It's solid game. And then you have the Jedi Survivor. Again, as much as broken as it was on release on PC, which is very unfortunate. It should not have been broken. I still stand behind that. That it really should not have been broken on release. I completely agree that it really shouldn't have got to that point, but that's still a great game. There's still a great game underneath all of that. And yeah, all those games are great games, and there's probably a load that I've probably forgotten about or have not played. But then the one real one that was god awful that I've played, that I'm playing through right now to do a review on, is Lord of the Rings, Gollum. And yeah, there's a lot to talk about there. A lot to talk about. But I feel like that's maybe one game that's purely single player that's hit the mark, that missed the mark. And again, like even looking back over the last five years, because this whole argument has been about for like 10 years, maybe since the Xbox One, PS4 generation became a thing. Like you said, we've had some great single player games come out, because you can look at pretty much all of Sony's games, really. Like you have the Horizon series, again, they're solid games. You have You have the Spider-Man 2018, again, great game. I absolutely fucking love it. You got the God of War series, again, even the 2018 God of War. Again, it's an amazing game. And you got, what was it called? Returnal. Fucking love that game. It's hella underrated. And I feel like everyone needs to play that game because, oh my god, it is amazing. It is one hell of a game and super, super underrated. And then you even have Red Dead Redemption 2. Oh my god, what an amazing game. That took me like a few years to even consider going through the campaign through that. Like, I can make like I can make like a 6-hour video on what makes that game so good. And I'm surprised it took me so long to actually get through the whole game, to even start going through the game. But my god, is it worth going through? I've never played a game so good. I mean, I have, but yeah, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. But yeah, but like honestly, like again, if you go back, you go back through like the whole history of games, like single player stuff has always been great. Single player stuff has always been amazing. They've always been really good, and then when you get like, then you do end up getting a couple of a couple of stinkers. Like you do end up getting one or two games that aren't good. Like Gollum, Redfall. Like I haven't played Redfall, so I can't really say. But apparently that's really bad as well. But I think that's probably more. Probably that's a co-op game, so probably more towards the multiplayer side, I think. And yeah, to be honest, I think you can kind of look back over the last even 10, 20 years and see single player games have kind of, at least at the bare minimum, kind of have been like on the same wavelength and kind of stay steady with how good they are. Because admittedly, you do have like a few really bad games. Ride Hell Retribution, Duke Nukem. You do get those terrible games, but you still, but I think it's quite consistent with it. I think it's a bit more consistent than multiplayer games. Because I think I've played more terrible multiplayer games than I have terrible single player games. And again, in recent years, I feel like they have been getting better and better and better, personally. But I don't know. Tell me, what do you guys think? Do you think I'm wrong? Do you think I'm right? Yeah, what do you guys think about this whole argument as well? And I would love to hear what people think about this whole thing. But yeah, hopefully you guys like this. Hopefully, if you're new here, you've subbed by now, and obviously you're absolute legend if you have. But yeah, obviously like, subscribe, and all the same things you hear every other YouTuber say. And yeah, thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.